Welcome to Dolphin Dive Daily, your go-to spot for everything Miami Dolphins. If you bleed aqua and orange, hit that subscribe button and join the pod. The Miami Dolphins have made a subtle yet intriguing move in the early stages of their offseason by adding another young arm to their quarterback room. On Thursday, the team officially announced the signing of Brett Gabbert, a name that may not carry the same NFL weight as his brother Blaine, but one that comes with a solid college resume and clear potential. To make space for the rookie QB, the Dolphins waived edge defender William Bradley King, a player who spent time on the practice squad and hadn't seen regular season action since 2022. This move signals more than just a roster shuffle. It's a calculated decision, one that gives Miami more depth under center as they shape their 90-man offseason roster. Gabbert's addition might not send shockwaves through the league, but for a franchise constantly preparing for both the now and the future, it's a storyline worth following. Gabbert's arrival in Miami isn't exactly out of the blue. Less than 2 weeks ago, he was in South Florida on a tryout basis during the Dolphins' rookie minicamp. His performance, while not publicized in detail, clearly left a strong enough impression on the coaching staff to earn a roster spot, albeit delayed. The timing is curious. If the Dolphins saw something promising in him during camp, why wait nearly 2 weeks to offer a deal? This could suggest a few things. Maybe they were evaluating other options, navigating roster flexibility, or simply wanted to see how other minicamp participants progressed. Regardless of the rationale, the signing illustrates a familiar offseason trend. Teams stacking up on quarterbacks for a more comprehensive evaluation during training camp and preseason action. With Gabbert now in the mix, the Dolphins quarterback count rises to 4, a common sight this time of year. The name Gabbert might ring a bell for NFL fans, and for good reason. Brett is the younger brother of Blaine Gabbert, the former first-round pick of the Jacksonville Jaguars and a longtime NFL backup who's had stints with the 49ers, Titans, Cardinals, Buccaneers, and Chiefs. While Blaine's pro career has had its ups and downs, Brett carved out his own path at Miami of Ohio, a school that has quietly produced notable NFL talent. Ben Roethlisberger is easily the most famous Red Hawk alumnus, but Brett's numbers place him firmly in the conversation as one of the school's top quarterbacks ever. Across 6 seasons with the Red Hawks, he started an impressive 53 games, demonstrating durability, leadership, and experience that NFL coaches value immensely, especially for developmental prospects. He's not just a brother living in a shadow. He's built a solid football identity of his own. During his collegiate career, Gabbert showcased consistency and an ability to move the offense effectively. He completed 788 passes out of 331 attempts, posting a 58.5% completion rate while throwing for 14 yards. He accounted for 80 touchdowns through the air against 30 interceptions. A respectable TD to INT ratio that reflects both arm talent and decision-making. These numbers are enough to place him second in career touchdown passes in Red Hawks history, trailing only Roethlisberger and third in passing yards behind Zach Dysert and Roethlisberger. That's elite company. While he's not known for being a dual-threat QB, he added 482 rushing yards and 8 rushing touchdowns, proving he can move when needed. His accolades speak volumes too. 3-time All-MAC selection, 4-time academic All-MAC honoree. Gabbert is a cerebral, seasoned player, and in today's NFL, those qualities often outlast raw athleticism. Gabbert's game isn't flashy. He's not launching 70-yard bombs on the run or pulling off highlight reel scrambles, but he plays within structure, processes defenses quickly, and commands the huddle with poise. Those traits, while not always headline material, are exactly what teams look for in a developmental quarterback. He's the kind of player you can trust to run your scout team in practice without derailing tempo. He's also the kind of player who can soak up a playbook, absorb coaching, and be ready to step in if injuries pile up. That alone gives him value in the quarterback ecosystem. While his odds of making the 53-man roster might be slim, especially with names like Tua Tagovailoa and Zach Wilson ahead of him, Gabbert will have every chance to prove himself this offseason. Whether that leads to a practice squad role or more remains to be seen. Speaking of the quarterback room, it's getting crowded, but that's exactly what the Dolphins want. Alongside established starter Tua Tagovailoa and the newly acquired Zach Wilson, Miami also used a 7th-round pick to grab Quinn Ewers out of Texas, another developmental QB with upside. Now, with Brett Gabbert in the mix, the team has 4 quarterbacks ready to battle for reps during training camp. It's standard practice in the NFL offseason to carry 4, sometimes even 5 QBs through the summer. They serve not only as insurance policies, but also as valuable arms for drills and reps when the main guys are being rested. The real intrigue comes during preseason games, where players like Gabbert and Ewers will get extended opportunities to showcase their growth. For Gabbert, those snaps will be the ultimate audition, not just for Miami, but potentially for other teams watching from afar. Interestingly, this isn't the first time the Dolphins have added a rookie quarterback to round out the offseason depth. Ouchard. Earlier this year, they signed Gavin Hardison as an undrafted free agent. However, Hardison's time in Miami was short-lived. He was waived just one day after Tua Tagovailoa's contract extension was finalized. That quick turnaround highlights how fluid and strategic offseason roster decisions can be. For Gabbert, the timing might be more favorable, with the Dolphins still evaluating their long-term backup options behind Tua and with Wilson's future. Uncertain, there's a real path, albeit narrow, for Gabbert to carve out a more lasting role. His presence creates healthy competition, and that's exactly what you want in the dog days of summer as teams prepare for the grind of an NFL season. As for the player release to make room for Gabbert, William Bradley King was always viewed as a fringe roster candidate. He spent last season on the practice squad and hadn't seen regular season game action since 2022. His release doesn't come as a major surprise. He was a long shot to crack the 53-man roster in a deep defensive front group. Moves like this are part of the business. For every promising rookie signing, there's usually a player on the bubble being shown a door. For Bradley King, the door may not be permanently closed. Other teams could take a look and practice squad opportunities. Often arise as injuries mount across the league. But for Miami, this was a numbers game and a future play. They saw something in Gabbert they wanted to develop, and that meant making a tough call elsewhere on the roster. Ultimately, the Dolphins' decision to bring in Brett Gabbert is more than just filling out a depth chart. It's a sign of the team doing its homework and leaving no stone unturned in its quest to build a complete and competitive roster. Gabbert may never take a regular season snap in aqua and orange, but if he impresses in training camp, earns the respect of coaches, and shows he can handle the pro transition, he might just stick around longer than expected. And if history has shown us anything, it's that quarterbacks with intelligence, experience, and patience often find ways to make themselves indispensable, even if that means bouncing around practice squads or holding a clipboard on Sundays. For Gabbert, the journey is just beginning, and all eyes will be on him as the offseason unfolds. So, as fans begin to zero in on Miami's training camp battles, Brett Gabbert becomes a name to watch. Not necessarily as a contender to start, but as a developmental project with upside and pedigree. His college production is undeniable, his leadership traits are clear, and he enters a quarterback room filled with storylines. Can Tua take the next step? Will Zach Wilson revive his career? Is Quinn Ewers more than a 7th-round flyer? And where exactly does Gabbert fit into that puzzle? Those are the questions that will play out over the coming months. One thing is certain. Miami is stacking chips at the game's most important position, and in doing so, they're giving themselves every possible edge. Whether that leads to a breakout star or simply a better prepared team come September, it's a strategy worth applauding. Still with us? Then show some love. Hit that like button and let us know in the comments. What's your take on the Fins this week? The NFL world is absolutely buzzing with the latest rumor that could reshape the entire landscape of the league. According to multiple insider reports, Minnesota Vikings superstar wide receiver Justin Jefferson is on the verge of signing with the Miami Dolphins. Yes, you heard that right. Jefferson, widely regarded as one of the best, if not the best receiver in the game today, is reportedly heading south to join forces with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. This shocking move has the potential to create one of the most dangerous, explosive, and downright terrifying offenses the NFL has ever seen. Fans everywhere are already imagining defensive coordinators losing sleep trying to figure out how to stop this trio. Could this be the birth of the next NFL dynasty? The implications of this signing, if true, are monumental for both the Vikings, the Dolphins, and the entire league. Justin Jefferson has been the face of the Minnesota Vikings offense since he was drafted in 2020. With his jaw-dropping route-running, magnetic hands, and ability to make the impossible look routine, Jefferson has been a highlight machine from day one. His departure from Minnesota, if this rumor holds true, would signify the end of an era for the Vikings and potentially signal a major rebuild. For the Dolphins, however, this could be the final piece of the puzzle. Miami already boasts one of the fastest offenses in the league with Hill and Waddle, but adding Jefferson would elevate them into an entirely different stratosphere. It's hard to recall the last time a single team had 3 receivers of this caliber, all capable of taking over a game at any moment. Imagine Tua Tagovailoa dropping back to pass with the option to hit Jefferson, Hill, or Waddle, all streaking down the field at lightning speed. Defenses simply won't have enough personnel to cover all 3 effectively. If the Dolphins pull this off, it could revolutionize offensive strategy in the NFL. We're talking about a modern version of the greatest show on turf, but even faster or more dynamic. The Dolphins' offensive coordinator would be licking his chops at the thought of designing plays for this trio. Opposing defenses would be forced to make impossible choices. Double Jefferson and leave Hill or Waddle in single coverage, or play zone and risk getting picked apart underneath all game long. This move also says a lot about Miami's front office and their commitment to winning now. Over the past few seasons, the Dolphins have been steadily building their roster with a mix of savvy trades, key draft picks, and aggressive free agent signings. Acquiring Tyreek Hill was already a massive statement, but adding Jefferson would be nothing short of a declaration of war on the rest of the league. It signals that Miami isn't just content with making the playoffs, they want to hoist the Lombardi trophy. For Dolphins fans who have been waiting decades for their team to return to prominence, this is the kind of bold, audacious move that reignites hope and excitement. For Justin Jefferson, this rumored move could also make a lot of sense. He's entering the prime of his career and likely wants to compete for championships. While Minnesota has been competitive in recent years, they've struggled to make deep playoff runs. The chance to play alongside Hill and Waddle in the warm weather of Miami and in a system designed to maximize his talents might be too enticing to pass up. Plus, with Tua emerging as a reliable and accurate passer, Jefferson wouldn't have to shoulder the entire offensive load, potentially extending his career and keeping him fresh deep into the season. From a personal branding standpoint, Miami also offers a bigger market and more visibility. Of course, all of this is still officially just a rumor at this point, but the sources reporting it are credible and have been accurate in the past with other major NFL transactions. Still, it raises a ton of questions. What would the Dolphins have to give up to land Jefferson? Would it involve draft picks, key defensive players, or perhaps even a combination of both? How would Minnesota react to losing their star wide receiver? Would they pivot toward a full rebuild or try to reload with other talent through free agency or the draft? These are all questions swirling around the NFL community right now, and everyone is eagerly awaiting more concrete details. If the deal does go through, it would also have a massive impact on the AFC landscape. The conference is already stacked with elite teams like the Chiefs, Bills, Ravens, and Bengals, but Miami would instantly vault itself into the top tier of contenders. With such an overwhelming offense, the Dolphins could not only challenge for the AFC East title, but potentially dominate the entire conference. It would also set up some mouth-watering matchups. Imagine a playoff game where Jefferson, Hill, and Waddle go up against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, or Joe Burrow and the Bengals. The ratings for those games would be through the roof. On the flip side, the NFC would lose one of its brightest stars. Justin Jefferson has been a staple of highlight reels and fantasy football teams for years, and his departure would leave a gaping hole in the Vikings' offense. Minnesota fans would understandably be devastated, but it could also open the door for young receivers to step up and for the franchise to reset its trajectory. It would also underscore the shifting balance of power in the NFL as more and more superstars move to the AFC in pursuit of rings and greater competition. This trend has been noticeable in recent years and could be accelerating with moves like this one. From a strategic standpoint, the Dolphins would need to carefully manage the egos and touches of their star-studded receiving core. Having 3 alpha receivers on one team is both a blessing and a potential challenge. The coaching staff would need to ensure that everyone remains engaged and happy, even if the ball doesn't come their way on every play. However, given the professional demeanor of players like Jefferson and Hill and the winning culture Miami is trying to build, it's entirely possible they could make it work seamlessly. Winning tends to cure a lot of potential locker room issues, and with so much talent, the victories could pile up quickly. In the end, whether this rumor materializes or not, it has already sent shockwaves through the NFL community. The mere possibility of Justin Jefferson teaming up with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle is enough to ignite endless debates, predictions, and excitement among fans and analysts alike. If it happens, it could mark the dawn of a new era in Miami. One where the Dolphins aren't just playoff hopefuls, but legitimate Super Bowl contenders. Only time will tell if this blockbuster deal comes to fruition. But one thing is certain, the NFL landscape is constantly evolving, and moves like this keep the league as thrilling and unpredictable as ever. Stay tuned. This story is far from over. That's a wrap for today's dive. If you're loving the content, share it with a fellow Dolphins fan, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a splash. Fins up.